Driving Gloves, we're a combination of gearheads. John the Instigator, Derek the Conservator, Will the Builder, Sean the Racer, and maybe a guest. Invite you to listen while they sit down, have a drink, and discuss cars. Learn more and subscribe to the podcast at No Driving Gloves. Time now for the ride. Can everybody out there hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, I can hear you just fine. I just messed up trying to post, share our post on my own page, but whatever. We're good.
Yeah. At least you're trying to share it, get the word out. 4 years in.
All my Facebook friends. I can't post it. I screwed up. So just join us now.
And good evening, Mr. Hill. Hope everything's been good for you also. I think we've all had busy weeks.
Nah. Slow as can be. Hey, it's working now. Awesome.
And dang Will bringing home, you keep going out west, Will, and you keep coming home with a heavier trailer.
Yeah, it's, 14 years of hard work. And I know that may be kind of a smart ass thing to say, but, it has. It's been really longer than 14 years. I mean, since I graduated from McPherson.
I want to say since at least before you started, I was going to correct you and say it's been at least 24 years.
Yeah. And, it's just one of those things that it's been a dream to win a terrific 12 from good guys for a long, long time. I've been a part of a lot of cars that have done it, but this is the first one that's come out of Big Oak Garage's camp. And I was telling Dan Duffy that owns the car on the flight home that it was, it was a huge joint effort. And at the end of the day, he was the leader of the team to build that car. I mean, he picked Big Oak Garage. And then once that happened, we made all of the big decisions together of where it went to interior and who done the machine work and what color to paint it, who cut the wheels. So it was, really a huge effort on everybody's part, with really Duffy being the ringleader to get that car built. I know Big Oak gets a lot of recognition for that, but if it wasn't for Dan Duffy commissioning us to build that car, it would have never happened. And if it wasn't for, Big Oak going out and pushing, and going to car shows when we really didn't have the money to go to Columbus to spend, 4 days in Columbus, Ohio in the early days, then I probably never would have met Dan. So it's kind of crazy how all that stuff comes together. And it was people from coast to coast that had their hands in that Impala to make it do what it's done in the last 4 months.
Yeah, we've kind of seen that out even for the last couple of cars. All you do is go out and win awards. And, what's the old saying? I guess you're an overnight success and it only took you 24 years to get there.
There you go.
Yeah. It's kind of wild how that works. And, unfortunately there's guys out there that's been doing this a lot longer than I have and never have had the opportunity to build a car like that. And, the Impala is up there with the Dart. When you start looking at the two most complicated builds to ever come out of the shop, it's those two cars. And actually we've got a couple of more in the shop that are like those caliber of builds.
I can't wait to see what shades of green those come out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Yeah. Tell me about it. Right. I can tell you one of them will not be green. The other one, green, is in the conversation. So,
but I mean, really, if you think about it, the name of the shop is Big Oak Garage. So really you should only be painting cars either brown, green, yellow, or red, the colors of an oak tree, right? I mean, doesn't matter what shade of those colors, but it would have to be in those families, right?
Well, I will tell you the next one coming out will be, we'll have some brown on it. Never we've never done brown before on the exterior of a car. So
I can't wait to see how you spray wood grain,
we've already
on a
done
72 Pinto.
We've already done that in the 42 truck. So, but yeah, it was quite a ride that the last, well, really since SEMA. I mean, we debuted the Cadillac in SEMA. We leave there, go to Pleasanton, and COVID had killed the show we were at last weekend last year, so they moved it to the end of the year. So we show up with the Cadillac and get a top 5 for custom of the year. And then it goes on and does really well. And then we debut the Cadillac or the Impala at Grand National in February. And then that thing's just taken off. So it's been a fun ride the last, since really October of last year. It's really kind of exploded. And not forgetting about a Trans Am that we built too. We helped Sean Black finish a 76 Trans Am, a restoration on a Trans Am. And that car done really, really well, the shows that it's been to. So I don't know.
Well, hey, I think Will just, summed up or he's completed the task of our title of the show tonight. We will get there. Yeah, Will got there. He's there. He's done.
Yeah, I was just realizing that I put Will's name in the title without meaning to put Will's name in the title.
There you go. This show is all about Will anymore. It always has been.
When I first read it, I almost read it as Will get there. I'm like, what? I don't know. We'll see.
Actually, he also accomplished getting here to the show tonight. So there we go.
Well, it sounds like you flew back as opposed to drove the old truck and trailer back. So.
Yeah. So Mom and sorry.
Phone's ringing, dude.
Yeah, I thought I had it on silent.
That's his fans.
Yeah. So Mom and Dad actually drove it out there, and they're bringing it back. So I was gone so much from, end of October, 1st of November last year, and then February. I can't be gone like that again anytime in the near future. So speaking of the Cadillac, Don and Brenda have joined in and said, "Hey,
all right,
what's up?"
So, and I know Brandy's looking forward to her Big Oak project up there for a debut. So,
oh yeah, we're gonna get on that pretty soon. So,
so
that's gonna win an award right there.
If I can find a place to put it in for an award, I will. Trust me.
Exactly.
I'm sure we can figure out something there. So I just kind of left the topics. We've covered so much in the last couple of weeks, from good, good things we have on our cars to things we miss on our cars. And it was really odd. What was I listening to? Who was I listening to? But vent windows came up as one of the biggest things missing from a car. And damn, it was somebody. Oh,
were you listening to it? Or I think it was within the last week, I saw Haggerty had an article up, and a big part of it was about vent windows.
No, I saw that, but there was Law and Order, the guy that was on Law and Order that also was the father on Dirty Dancing. What's his name?
Sam Water.
Jerry.
I thought it was Sam Waters.
You're in Law and Order. Do you know? No. Oh. Well, I can't remember. That was the guy, because whoever was talking about it, I want to say was it Johnny Lieberman, or was it? the guy, Matt Farah, I can't remember. They were interviewing
Jerry Orbach.
That's it. And he used to be a big smoker, etc. And somehow he said that was the one thing he wishes every car should, by law. And he even wrote a letter to Congress and the president saying that we need to mandate vent windows. So I kind of felt good that we were on that a week or two ahead. So I really wish I
swear people are listening to our show and stealing the topics, because I feel like that happens all the time. We're like 2 weeks ahead of something coming out big in the news.
2 weeks ahead, or, that's kind of one reason we changed the release date. Instead of recording on a Wednesday and, coming out on a Monday, we went to going live, and within the next 2 weeks, the Wednesday shows will be out on Friday audio. And, that way we can't be scooped over the weekend by everybody else. I just keep getting tired of that. It seems everybody records on Thursday or over the weekend, and by the time we drop, everybody else has already talked about it. Well,
it's a lot like it's just the industry. It's we painted the 42 truck blue and with gold wheels, and that was the whole theme at SEMA that year. I guarantee you there were 10 cars that were blue with gold wheels, and green this year. I mean, holy cow, at the green cars that have came out in the last year. There were 3 or 4 green cars at SEMA this year that were stunners. I know Creative Rod and Customs, little Model A's a dark green. BBT Fabs, Firebird was green. Impala's green. I mean, green is the color this year. And we don't talk about all of that. It's like all of a sudden, there's a wave of blue, and then there's a wave of green, and there's a wave of white. It's just all different shades and tones and stuff, and different pearls and metallics. And some of them don't have any pearls and metallics, but it's just kind of weird how, like, creative minds just all kind of think alike, I guess. I don't know.
It's weird. You're right that all of that just occurs, and everything seems to happen or hit at the same time. I had an example of that also, but it slipped my mind.
Well, you have to remember.
Say hi to Sean out there. Not only do I have power, I don't even have rain.
Yeah, well, good for you, John. But I think, Will, it's interesting because if you look back over history, it seems like there's these waves of things that, nobody knows. But when you really get to it, the creative minds of the world are always influenced by kind of what's going on throughout the creative community. So even if it's not car specific, but maybe it's, the art movement or the fashion movement of the time, and the creative minds see what's going on in one area, it inspires them in a different way. You think of like the Art Deco movement, and then all of a sudden cars are being styled in the Art Deco style. So right. I think it tends to lean towards the creative minds, seeing a wave of things going on in the greater creative community and drawing that into their area of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you look at a 32 Ford, all of those cars, and then a 33 Chevrolet looks, it's kind of weird. They were all working on the designs before, it's not like Ford came out with the 32 Ford and everybody's like, oh, I want my car to look like a 32 Ford. They were all working on them at the same time. I mean, yeah. They just all really resemble each other a lot. It's kind of crazy.
What I find funny, I guess, about your green is, when it comes to everyday cars sold through car dealerships and that, right now, green is the worst color. Green is the hardest color to sell.
Yep.
green actually has a lower trade-in value. That's why now with NADA and that, you check what color your cars are, because that actually influences. And green, the last statistic I read, green will sit on a lot, pre-chip shortage, 15 or 20 days longer than any other color.
Yep.
I've found that odd, and there's been green cars in my past. So
green and brown right now are not real hot colors.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
but earth tones, those earth tones are I mean, regardless if you like it or not, they're coming back. And pastels are going to be coming back too.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope I'm never painting things, robin egg turquoise and.
Oh, you will be. Yeah.
Robin's egg blue.
Robin's egg blue.
I've got my
non-metallic.
I've got my sour pink Cadillacs here. That's what we need.
There we go.
Thanks, Jason.
Actually, yeah, Robin's egg blue exterior. Yeah, no non-metallic, maybe like a semi-gloss. You don't want it too bright. And then you need exactly that. You need that pink Cadillac interior in it.
Yep.
Just pastel pink interior, blue exterior. There you go. Well, that's your next project.
The mini truck crowd is really really supporting that wholeheartedly right now. They're bringing back all those colors and paint.
Well, we can turn to our resident mini truck expert.
Yeah. Well, there's actually a guy in Gadsden, Big Sean. He painted his truck like that several years ago. Really before it started kind of coming back. So he's Big Sean's a little ahead of the curve of bringing it back. They might be coming back because of Big Sean.
No. Hey, Sean Yoder. No. Not Laguna Seca blue. Elkhart Lake blue. No. That'd be better. Elkhart Lake blue. That's a good color.
Sean Kilgore.
No, I'm commenting on Sean's comment over here. Sean Yoda's comment.
He also commented that beige is the new black, which is kind of true. Mm-hmm. And I remember a couple of years ago, whatever 986, 987, whatever the Boxster came in was after the 987. I got all the numbers screwed up from there. They had a real cool, like a chocolate brown, and never wanted a chocolate brown Porsche before, but I want a chocolate brown Porsche.
I like some of the like root beery brown, maybe almost tipping towards Dr. Pepper brownish red colors that are out right now. I think they got a good look on the right lines, right? They got to be on the car with the right body lines, but they look pretty good. Then of course, a few years back,
question, and I know they had a lot of debuts at SEMA. This one's for you, Will. Is there a EV division at these shows, or do you think they should start introducing an EV? Are EV showing up at the shows?
I mean, SEMA, there was a ton of EV stuff, but there wasn't its own, hall yet. It probably will this year. It'll be a hall I probably avoid, but there was a Tesla that showed up at Good Guys, Texas, ran the autocross and murdered everybody on All American Sunday. It won the whole kit and caboodle on Sunday, and was not far off from beating the fastest Pro X time on Saturday. And Pro X cars, what's their names? The Lessingers. They show up and they're extremely hard to beat. They've got full purpose built, lightweight tube chassis, fiberglass body autocross cars. These are full-fledged race cars. And this fully equipped, Tesla comes out and dang near runs the same times as them. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was only like a couple of tenths off.
Yeah. With its Knight Rider steering wheel and all the other fun things about it.
Oh yeah, it was playing ice cream truck music as he was out there racing.
Oh,
it was pretty. It was pretty funny, to be honest with you.
I mean, as he crosses the finish line, you get a.
Oh,
I can't believe Musk was told he had to eliminate the I guess it's called raspberry on my soundboard sound. Why the cars are in motion. Guys having fun.
Oh yeah.
It's what it's all about, right? Just having fun.
Okay, don't care how you do it. You know, Lotus dumped their new SUV, first hyper electric SUV yesterday, and was talking to somebody. Actually, I was talking to my aunt today about electric cars, which really seemed odd. She texted me about the Lotus SUV and asked me some questions, and we got into a whole conversation on electric SUVs. But where?
Oh, thought we were going more into the conversation with your aunt on electric SUVs. You just kind of left it hanging there.
Well, I'm really trying to not make us an electric car show, but I'm looking at my notes here, and I've got the Lotus email. I've got the electric vehicle report. Just
I will say this: I seen a Rivian truck in Pleasanton last weekend, and it was pretty cool.
Did you see the drag race?
It kills me, but man, it was one of the guys that works for Rivian, and it was pretty cool.
Did you see the drag race that came out about Rivian this week, where it was a Rivian with a trailer and a truck on the trailer, and I think it was racing a Chevy pickup, straight Chevy pickup, and smoked it?
I mean, I believe it.
Wow.
Now, it never said if the Rivian could drive back to the start line or if the batteries were dead. I mean, it's
well, that's not the point of a drag race. Point A to point B, fastest time, boom, done.
Exactly. No. Yoder's saying he wishes he had one of the new Lightnings to hook up to his house.
Power the house.
General Motors. What? I can't remember what the General Motors electric truck's going to be called, but it also has that feature
where you can connect it. Silverado E, right?
Silverado E.
I think it's the Silver. Is it or? Now I'm trying to remember. I can't remember.
I don't know. I'll go back and watch it because Meadow Soprano's in the ad.
There you go.
But I guess, electric's right around
Silverado EV.
Oh, very creative, General Motors. Yeah. Oh, wait.
See, I thought it was just
sorry. We'll wait till next week before we say that kind of stuff.
Ow.
Wow.
I mean, that's something I was going to talk about tonight a little bit. And Will, I can try to drag us off this electric vehicle kick if you want. But even what Will was talking about in the beginning with, each new job and how each one is more complicated. And, he's gotten these couple that have gone through the shop, there's a couple more. And I got to thinking about, that, and I don't remember who it was. Somebody was talking to me about this move to the Lane Museum here in 2 weeks. And, I've been obviously as a curator and someone who is, interested in the history of the cars, things like that. I think that's one of the fun things or interesting things about, no matter what the job changes for, what reason, whether it's, you want to move up in your career or you want to take a step back for a minute to raise family, so on and so forth. But each move along the way, it broadens my knowledge of automotive history. I learn new things everywhere I go. I don't know everything about automotive history, and I'm already researching a bunch of the cars in the collection at the Lane on in my downtime, whatever that is. And, already learning things I didn't know about some of these cars and some connections to different people and different companies. And that's one of the cool things. And it kind of sparked into me again when Will was talking, because, every time Will talks about a new project in the shop, there's some new technique they're using, or some different, something different they're trying to do with the car to make it, edge out the other cars in the competitions and things like that. So that was something I want to talk about tonight. Just, how we continue to learn about the automotive industry, no matter what part of it we're in, whether it's the history or fabricating and different techniques and things like that.
Well,
or not.
It's it's really more. It's really just more design cues that, in construction cues of doing something a little different than somebody else. I mean, we've been doing hidden fasteners under hood forever, but how's a way to do it to make it look even more simple and more, the more simple you make it, the more complicated it is to fabricate. So, or the more simple it looks, the more complex it is to fabricate. And I mean, that's just, it's just evolution. I mean, and you pick up ideas when you go to SEMA. It may not be it may be off of a new car. It may be off of a competitor's car. You may take something that somebody done to a 32 Ford and incorporate it on a 69 Camaro. It may just be the way something bolts together, or even styling cues. And a lot of it, I'm just, I just get sick of seeing, and I just want to do something different. Panels under hood that are every inch is bead roll. I'm sick of seeing it. I mean, there's really nothing under the hood of that Impala that's bead roll. Yeah, there's some steps and stuff, but there's not a bead rolled panel underneath the hood of that car. There's some factory looking stampings that we do. I mean, we still use our bead roller a good bit, but we really don't do it to bead rolled stuff that you're going to see. It's more to strengthen a bracket or a brace or even floor pans.
So you use it for structural ability, not styling ability.
Yeah, now I do. I mean, 10 years ago, it was bead roll everything and bolted underneath the hood and make it look cool. And there's still a lot of shops out there that are doing that, and that's fine. It's just I'm kind of tired of seeing satin, everything under the hood, satin paint. I think that's kind of run its course.
Well, we had a show about that 4 years ago, and I'm kind of, so tired of matte black. So tired of matte black.
And I mean, we still use satin colors. There is some satin stuff on the Impala, but the only thing that is satin is everything that color is satin. It's not like we painted the outside of the car green and then brought that green under hood and just painted satin. That's still being done a lot. I'm not mad at it. It's just, I'm still going to continue to do some of that, but not on a car like that Impala. To me, if everything that's white is gloss white, then it all needs to be gloss white. If it's gloss green, it needs to be gloss green. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things that you just kind of get tired of seeing, and you're like, man, what can I do different? And then it's, under hood of the Nomad that I posted a picture of last week. The inner fenders are kind of similar to the Impala, but they're different. I'm not a big fan of that whole bathtub look underneath the hood of a car that's been popular for a long time. So that, I mean, it's really just things that you either, number one, you get tired of seeing, or number two, you've done a couple of times and you try to visualize something else to separate you from everybody else. The Impala was a totally different deal. I mean, we cut the shit out of a 61 Impala bubble top. Not many people's done that. So it was either going to be really, really good or it was going to be really, really bad. You know, it's been accepted really well, and something that, you know, I kind of pushed myself out of my boundaries with Ricky, built by Ricky, done the interior on the Cadillac. I've never been a big monochromatic guy. I've always liked contrast, and you know, very, very few Big Oak Garage built vehicles have a real similar color to the interior as the main color as the body. And if you look at the Cadillac, everything in that car is red. You know, the underhood has the rose gold that matches the wheels. Everything else on that car is red. Even the interior is a really close shade of the exterior. And you know, that's something that I've never done, and it hadn't been done a whole lot in the last several years. And so I think that's something else. You know, you got to push yourself out of your boundaries a little bit to still be creative. If not, you'll get stuck in the rut and you'll build the same car over and over. It may be a different, you know, it may be a 32 Ford or a 69 Camaro, but it's all, you know, painted real close to the same color with the same stance, same style wheels, and same type interior. And so you got to push yourself out of your boundaries and what you're comfortable with to still be creative and even trust other people's opinion. I mean, like the interior on the Cadillac, that was really what Ricky came up with to do. And at first I was like, yeah, you know, that would look pretty good. And Don and Brenda that own the Cadillac, they really liked it. And I was like, well, let's go with it. You know, it's definitely not going to hurt it. And I could not picture another interior color in that car than the color that's in it. I mean, it looks like what should be in a Cadillac. I don't think it would work in a Camaro, but it works perfectly in that Cadillac. So I think that, I know that's a super long answer to your question. The techniques that we use to fab a panel, I mean, they're the same techniques that were used in the 30s and the 40s, you know, building airplanes and building cars and repairing cars and stuff like that. Bodywork technique, it's still the same. It's still put material on and sand material off till it gets straight, whether it's Bondo or primer or clear coat after you've painted it. You know, all that stuff's the same. Now, granted, there are companies that come up with products every day to make that job easier and more efficient, and we're all about it. You know, there were some shops that I'd worked in, and the guys were set in their ways, and they wanted to use this product no matter what. You know, if something new come out, they didn't want to hear it. You know, this works good. This worked good for 20 years. We're going to continue to use it. Okay, that's fine. You know, I'm not mad at it. But I'm the opposite of that. If they've come up with a product that makes our job easier, hey, I'm all for it. If we can save, you know, 15 hours wet sanding and buffing a car, and I've got 15 hours left on the build, that's 15 hours I can do something cool. That's how I look at it.
Sean had a nice comment right after Derek's question 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly right. It wasn't really a question. It was a primer to get a conversation started. And Will just had the whole conversation.
The nice thing about this hobby is that no matter what you do, you can always learn. There's always something about it. And then I think the listeners know, I took a step back a few years ago from the automotive hobby and really totally got out of it with the exception of the podcast, but I've still stayed in tune. And I mean, I'm now, doing computer stuff and doing the podcasting gig and things like that. But, my email's still filled with the news that's going on. My, phone and the podcasts I listen to are still heavily automotive related. It's almost probably 40, maybe 45, 45, 10 from cars to podcasting to cigars. That's kind of what I listen to. Every now and then I'll slip in an audiobook. But there's just everything in life still revolves around the automobile. I'm watching the show Super Pumped, and even the car slips in there, the Google car. This is something about the founding of Uber, which I guess is cars also. But, the pod cars we keep talking about, and I keep saying Bob Lutz talks about them because I don't want to be the guy that spreads the word that we're starting pod cars. But like I said, I probably get 5-6 press releases a day on things going on in the automotive world, to listening to whether it be Adam Carolla or Spike Ferguson, or I heard a great Jerry Seinfeld talking about 914s the other day. And a guy who can afford any damn Porsche in the world was talking really, really high about the 914 and how it could possibly be one of the best Porsches. Wait a second. But so, yeah, I mean, it's a great hobby. There's always ways to stay learning, even just watching the cars go down the road next to you and seeing the changes of styling and this, say the idiots on the road, how they try to restyle your vehicles. But yeah, I mean, this is a hobby that no matter what you're into, everybody has something to do with it. Even the most non-car people, I still think that there's a reason they choose the car they do. Just because somebody goes out and buys an Accord, well, that might be they bought it because somebody recommended it, but they talked about cars, or they like the styling of it. But there's always some sort of knowledge that goes into everything. I don't know anybody who picks up the phone and we'll say the yellow pages, or we'll say Google's new cars, and then the first thing that pops up calls that dealership and says, "Hey, I'm spending $50,000. Can you have a car ready for me? I don't care what it is." I don't know anybody who does it. I imagine there's probably one person who's done that. But say even Steve Jobs, he didn't care what he drove. I mean, the guy wore black pants, black shirt, so he didn't have to make a decision what to wear every day. It was one fewer decision, or one fewer thought process that he had to have in the day. But he always drove a Mercedes SL. At some point, he took the time to decide it's going to be a Mercedes SL. And then it got to the point every 6 months he got a new one, but that was more a license plate scam than getting a new car. So how do you do it, Derek?
How do I do which thing? License plate scams?
Yeah.
Well, no, I just think I don't know why I get to thinking about these things, but when I moved from Henry Ford Museum and knowing the history of the vehicles there, to the Crawford, it was an all new experience. Yeah, it's still antique and classic cars, but now it's focused on Northeast Ohio primarily, and the cars that were built there, and all the little known cars that were built and produced, but then some of the connections to Detroit, just thinking of like Lozier, one of the probably greatest early American automobiles built. Of course, Frederick Chandler worked for them. And then when Lozier started to go downhill, he went back to Cleveland and started the Chandler Company and basically ripped off the styling and some of the mechanical of the Lozier, little things like that. And then Corvette Museum, of course, coming into that. and already having some knowledge about Corvette just from growing up with a dad that, worked on them and restores them, but then getting into the unique little back histories. And I think, as everybody knew that, well, the other two hosts on this podcast know, and a lot of our listeners know, I took a lot of flack early on in the days at the Corvette Museum, because I'm one of those people that'll go out and find those little unique stories within, and try to bring those out, and, might talk about something kind of unpopular in one of the, worlds that I'm working in this case, the Corvette world, talk about the fact that the Ford Thunderbird in 55 saved Corvette from, being cut from GM's production. Or, making all the little connections of, you look at somebody like Larry Shinoda, famous for designing, tweaking the design that would become the split window Corvette in 1963. And then talk about the fact that he went over to Ford and, did things with the Mustang, and, all that he did for Ford Motor Company. That doesn't become popular, but it's all those little stories that connect automotive history throughout. And I noticed Jason asked, what was something I've already learned about the cars at the lane. I'm already doing some, but there's cars there that they don't know any history on, because they're, one-off cars that were built by somebody in their, in their barn in France, in the countryside of France, and they've acquired it, and they don't fully know the history of it. So that's going to be part of my job, is going in there and figuring these things out. But one of the coolest things was, I think everybody probably is familiar with the Traction Avant. You guys both remember the Traction Avant from France, right? Yeah,
roughly.
And of course, the history of it. A very important car, mass produced, really important in Europe, and affordable. And it also happened to be one of the early unitized bodies, unitized chassis body car. What I never realized, because I never read the history of Traction Avant, is that was designed in America by Bud here in the U.S., who, of course, has a rich history with automotive industry, going back to building some of the first steel structured cars in the U.S., and, doing a lot with unitized bodies here in the U.S. as well. But they also had their hands in, the French automotive industry, engineering the Traction Avant unitized bodies. So it's all those little things that I just find extremely interesting when you start diving in, and can learn more and more about.
Well, take Jason's question kind of to the next level, because I know how you work. Will knows how you work.
I don't.
Yeah. If Christine only had that knowledge. But what you've already researched some things at the lane. You did that before the interview, because you prep for interviews, and you know what you're getting into. What is the most surprising thing you've learned in the, weeks or months leading up to your job change and dealing with the lane? What's the most exciting thing you've learned, or what's the most surprising, whether it be a portion of the museum or a tidbit of knowledge about one of their artifacts?
There are 540 automobiles in the collection. Add to that about 12 aircraft, hundreds of bicycles, probably about 100 motorcycles, numerous boats. I don't really know that there's an answer to that yet, John.
Well, now my question is, when you say aircraft, does that also carry over to cars? Because he has those aero cars. And when you say boats, do the amphibious vehicles carry over? So are they being counted as one boat crossover and one car? Or?
Crossover. Crossovers. No, there's so much that's, it is such an eclectic and diverse collection of vehicles. And you have to say vehicles because it's I don't think there's a carriage in the collection. I could be very wrong. It might be hidden somewhere in the building. I don't know. But they are vehicles of all types, and he has them in every condition as well. I mean, there is a 1930 French tricycle there, a pedal, tricycle, bicycle, tricycle, that has a complete clamshell body that folds in on. So you're in an enclosed vehicle, but it's of course pedal powered tricycle, completely original, untouched, beautiful condition, made by a French piano maker of all things.
Wow.
And then he has cars that are, beautifully restored. He's built a replica of the first Dymaxion car. Of course, only one of the three still exist. And it's almost an exact replica, as close as he could possibly get it. And when it was done, what did he do? He got in it and drove it to Amelia Island for the Concours. He didn't trailer it down. He didn't put it on a reliable truck. He got in it and drove it all the way to Amelia Island from Nashville, Tennessee.
I was on the phone the other day talking to Jeffrey Hacker from Undiscovered Classics, also a subject
Jeff's
of an interview.
Awesome.
Yeah, interview, episode 87. Gee, and I'm going, geez, that's a long time ago. We probably should get Jeff back on here. But I was chatting with him about a couple of things, and somehow we got on the subject of the lane, and I'm, mentioned your move, and he was talking about how great it is and how great Jeff is. And, Jeffrey has some of the rarest of the rare cars. I mean, one of ones and one of nones actually at some points, but he's one of the most eclectic guys I know. But, he was really talking about Jeff and Jeff's passion and, how Jeff cares. And it's just, I guess I'm talking nice about the Lane Museum now too, but it just seemed to be a really interesting thing. And again, small world, eclectic car people, and covering stuff like that. I don't know if I was going anywhere with that other than to plug Jeffrey in episode 87.
Can we change subjects just for a little bit?
No, we can't talk about your dogs.
Oh, come on, man. I got to put up. Can we go get them? Did y'all?
What do you want, Will?
Dan Parker. I know you probably know that name. The blind guy that's trying to set the speed record, fastest blind dude. He's doing it. He's doing it.
Yeah, I've read about that.
Yeah, he's doing it this week in a Corvette. So, and I didn't realize it till the other day that a good friend of mine, Jeff Pope, is there helping him do that. So I think he run 176 mile an hour today.
Nice.
So I thought he's wanting to run 201. So,
you got to work your way up slowly to that,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Might be cool to try to get Jeff on the podcast to talk about their adventures of. I'm not sure exactly where they're at, but yeah, they run 176 mile an hour during testing and tuning, and this was less than half the actual distance that they'll be going tomorrow. So, yeah.
Nice.
Well, you know what I say to you every time you throw out a name? We're here every Wednesday.
Get them on the show.
I'm pretty good.
What?
Not following through, right?
I've got a whole bunch of Post-its here. I've got something about a windshield lady. And
Yeah.
What do we know what Corvette he's using? What year?
The fast one.
So not a 1953. Gotcha.
No. It looks like a C6.
Okay.
That'd be a C6.
Yeah, it's C6.
Yep. So, yeah, it's been pretty cool to watch their progress over the the last week. You can follow them on Facebook. It's Tragedy to Triumph Racing is the Facebook page. And anyway, yeah, it's been pretty cool to watch them, watch their progress. So hopefully he can get the record tomorrow. Sounds like he wants.
That is really cool. And actually I'm gonna have to make sure our folks at the my team at the Corvette Museum is aware of that, prior to my departure. Because right now we've got the Aero Electronics C7 on display, which was built for Sam Schmidt, so he can, as a paraplegic or quadriplegic, he can actually still race. And that's an incredible car. And of course he's got the C8 now all set up, and I watched him autocross that C8, and man, he is extremely talented driving that car.
Well, Will, we've got a couple commenters. I think you need to set that interview up. And I think Derek just answered Jason's question.
Uh-oh, what's Jason? It's the car that was built for special needs. Yep, there you go. Yeah, yep, it was for Sam Schmidt, yeah. And I think we talked about it on the show, but I got a chance to drive the C7 around the MSP road course with all of the equipment. I wasn't holding the steering wheel, I wasn't pushing the pedals, I was using the SIP puff tube, using the glasses that pick up the camera to steer it and everything. And it's a lot to learn. It's a lot to learn. But
I can imagine.
I had it after a couple laps. I down the front straight, I actually got it up just over 70 mile an hour. So that was pretty cool for only being in it for 10, 15 minutes. That was pretty cool to be able to do that, not pushing pedals, not holding the steering wheel, and get it to highway speed. It was interesting.
What's his top speed in it? Do you know?
Sam's?
Yeah.
I don't, but I'm sure it is well over what I was doing.
Oh.
Well, did we live up to the title when we finally get there, or are we looking for that next week?
You'll never get there, bro.
I don't think we're ever going to get anywhere.
No.
I don't even think we rotated the conversation around in a circle tonight. We're off our game.
I can right now. Jason asked, "Is there anything we didn't do the Impala because of time restraints?" So we can bring it back to the Impala because that's where it started.
Yeah, they didn't finish it.
Yeah. You got all that extra time because of COVID to work on it. Is there anything that you left on the table?
There were some things early on that we decided wasn't necessarily a make it or break it. We were going to do some vents in the fenders that kind of worked as brake cooling ducts and another styling cue. We were going to do something different with the door handles. One of the big things that we didn't get done because of time restraints and the guy doing the machine work kind of flaked out on us was the interior door handles. I wanted to do something really, really trick there. We wound up just putting stock interior door handles on it. So yeah, there were actually a few things that we wanted to do that we either run out of time on, or somebody said they would do them and just didn't get it done. I mean, there's always something that you got to decide. You go, okay, is this gonna make or break the build? And if the answer is no, then you move on. If the answer is yes, then you move forward and just do what you got to do to make it happen. And one of those things that it was like, no, we're not going to do it, not going to do it, not going to do it, not going to do it. And then once we put the pieces of chrome in between the deck lid and the back glass, that factory piece that kind of flows around. It gets 61 Impala only. We decided that we 100% wanted to do that to the hood. So we had those machined and pocketed the hood a little bit farther and put those pieces in there. And that's, unfortunately, when you're showing it, most of the time the hood's up, so a lot of people don't see it. But to me, that was one of those things that we did spend a little extra time on that, we decided to do instead of not to do. So to answer your question, yes, there was some things that we didn't do.
And there we go. We brought it full circle for you, John.
Hey, we have our pattern. We'll get there somehow. See that this is some interchange somewhere in Texas. The photo of that's behind me, or on the cover art if you're listening to the audio show, and don't look at it too hard on your Apple CarPlay. But I think I'm going to go to sleep. I've had a long couple of days, and I don't know if that's my thunder or your thunder, but somebody's got some pretty good thunder going on. So
just don't steal the thunder.
It hadn't quite hit here yet, but it's really, really close.
Yeah.
So we might as well shut it down before the power goes out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Power's not going to go out. I'm positive. That's. I guess there's 3 different ways to take that, but
John, you got like 3 tornado warnings just to the south of you, so we'll see how that goes.
Now you're gonna make me turn on the news or my phone or something. Right now my iPad's got the sound pad on it. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah,
I'm out of here tonight, guys. Join us next week. NoDrivingGloves.com for all your information. Look us up. Give us a like on Facebook, and tell a friend about us.
Right.
Our evil car builder and his cat.
It's my new Hemi. Look, he's got 6 toes.
Oh, one of those cats. Gotcha. Yep.
And no tail.
It's because it grew as an extra toe. Later.
Adios.